Hi, my name is Angie Wong, and I am president of Legacy PAC. We just came off a huge bus tour across the nation where we went and supported Republican candidates that were running in the midterm elections. We're going to do it again in Georgia for Herschel Walker during his runoff. And of course, we're mobilizing for the big presidential run in 2024. We would love your support and your donations to help us hold the line for the America First agenda and to support the next generation of conservative leaders. So please go to legacy-pac.org. That's legacy-pac.org. Thank you so much for your continued support.
I'm Jared Craig with the Vet Voice. On behalf of Veterans for Trump and Legacy PAC, I have the pleasure of speaking with Jonathan J.R. Soo Hoo, who has been working in Georgia politics during the 2022 midterm election, and his political consulting firm has been assisting with the Herschel Walker campaign. Now that that has been completed and we're past the midterm elections, I'd like you, Mr. Soo Hoo, to speak to the guests about, and our viewers about what you've been doing in Georgia politics to help out those in the midterm election.
Right. Yes. Good. Thanks for having me. I'm down in Georgia. I was helping out. First, I was in Arizona. Then I came to Georgia, and I helped out with get out the vote efforts for Herschel Walker, both in the general election and the runoffs. Me personally, that included almost 20,000 doors. And I was out there almost every day meeting with voters, talking with voters, hearing their concerns and hearing how, Joe Biden and Raphael Warnock's policies are negatively impacting them and their families. And that's what this election and politics is about, helping people's families.
Well, I understand you went door to door pretty quickly to get 20,000 doors. Did you have a scooter? Did you have a golf cart? Do you have some track?
I did use an electric scooter. I did use an electric scooter. Yeah.
Now, did everybody in your consulting firm, did they all use electric scooters? Is that like a thing, or is that just your idea?
My idea.
Great idea.
Yeah. It was helped with efficiency, right? And it helped connect and talk to more voters and spread the message of why we need to elect Herschel Walker to the U.S. Senate, and helped with talking to more voters on explaining why this election was so important and why we really needed Herschel Walker to be in the U.S. Senate.
It's ingenious to do that, and I think other people might pick up on your idea there. Well, you said that when you knocked on 20,000 doors, you were speaking to the people in the community on their porch, right? In Georgia, we talk about politics on the porch and speaking with your neighbors and getting out at the grassroots level.
Yeah.
What were the issues that you found were important to those that were kind of on the fence? Should I vote Republican? Should I vote Democrat? Did you get a feel for what issues that those swing voters were concerned about?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Some voters were upset about a lot of the negative attack ads that Senator Warnock ran against Herschel Walker. There's no doubt about that. He spent $175 million slamming the guy, spreading misinformation and borderline lies about Herschel Walker. That's an undeniable fact. But so at the end of the day, those attack ads worked, but a lot of voters were really concerned and torn about the economy, the jobs, the price of food going up, electricity, right? All of the above. That was hurting a lot of Georgia families and a lot of, especially elderly Georgians who are living on their 401k and Social Security, right? Who have seen or getting ready for retirement. They've seen their 401ks, the bottom fall out from under them, cut in, half in some cases, right? But depending on their investments. So that was one thing that you really saw. And the bottom line was that Raphael Warnock voted with Joe Biden 96% of the time. and his policies and what he voted for directly caused these the impact, the 401ks to fall, the economy to tank. And so so that was I think that was the crux of it. That was the one really big issue that I saw, which was the economy.
Now,
Right.
I want to ask you a question. I haven't heard anybody ask very much about defending Warnock. As you went door to door, did you find any people who were just diehard Warnock fans? And
So I think
how did they defend him?
Well, so I think there's two things to that, right? One common thing that Warnock supporters say is that they don't blame Warnock for the economy or the 401ks falling or things like that. And then the other thing is, it wasn't so much a defense of Warnock, but more an attack on Herschel Walker because of those negative attack ads that Raphael Warnock ran consistently for the past 6, 7, 8 months, just absolutely hammering the guy because, he raised $175 million. Herschel Walker, he raised $58 million, which was the most for any Republican running for U.S. Senate. $58 million is a lot of money, and he raised the most. When we talk about the $175 million that Raphael Warnock raised and spent against Herschel Walker, the Democrats are taking what I would call a premature victory lap in Georgia. The bottom line is that we ran the tables on them in every single statewide race in Georgia except this U.S. Senate race. And they needed 80,000 new voters to register to vote and vote in the runoff that they didn't have in the general election. They referred to him as a bad father, stupid, just a professional athlete. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a lot of racial dog whistles, one after another, in order to stop a Black Republican from elected to the United States Senate. This is not the first time Georgia Democrats have unpacked one racial dog whistle after another to prevent a Black man from getting elected into the U.S. Senate. The notion that we did poorly, the Republicans did poorly in the general elections in November, is a misnomer. We won every single demographic except for single women. We won single men, married women. We lost single women by 35%. Why? Because it goes back to the issue of abortion. That was a key issue, and that drove a lot of single women to the polls. And so, and by the way, that's Democrats' number one fundraising issue. So you knew that was going to happen. And Roe v. Wade was bad law. Once Dobbs came out, it was not going to be a red wave. The red wave was gone as soon as Dobbs came out.
The one thing that Dobbs clarified is that it is definitely a state level issue.
They want to distract the American people from their record. And that's why they do it, because they don't have anything to run on.
You hit the nail on the head. Distract the American people on emotional issues to get them away from what really matters: the economy, feasibility, production,
safety,
and safety. I've heard a couple of other political, I'll just say consultants say that the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans is that the Republicans focus on a campaign, whereas the Democrats focus on an election. And those are two total different things. Whereas they're in the ballot game, and the Republicans or the conservatives seem to be in the information, educating, and math-based game versus the emotional game that the Democrats working. Now, going forward in the 2024 election, how would you suggest that people running for office as a conservative, Republican, or even an independent conservative, how could they benefit from the lessons learned in the 2022 midterms to succeed in 24?
I think there's two things to unpack there, right? Which is, I agree with you broadly that the Republicans haven't been very good at just getting into the campaign game of campaigns. if you will. They're just registering voters and then turning them out, right? And then that's what the Republican model is. The Democrat model is registering voters and getting them to vote early on early way and banking all these ballots before a single vote has been cast on the second Tuesday after the first Monday of November, which is
or even before a debate's been had in some cases.
right. Yeah, right. And so, but here's why I say that. Okay, you can't tell me the Republicans are losing the battle of ideas. Okay,
Right.
Understand something here. The Democrats fundamentally believe that men can get pregnant. Okay, I'm sorry, you've automatically lost the battle of ideas when you're telling me that a man can get pregnant.
Trust
okay,
the
you
science.
automatically lost. Okay, and I think the vast majority of Americans and the vast majority of people I talked to felt that same way. Because I'll tell you this one story. I love this story. I was up in Calhoun, Georgia, which is by Gordon County, north, not quite the north corner, but getting up there. It's so far away from Atlanta that it's where Buc-ee's is. Okay.
Oh, right. I think I know exactly where you're at. Or not you are, but
and
where
so
you're speaking.
I was talking to this elderly lady. She answers the door. She goes, well, I never really got into that voting thing. Right? And I looked at her and I said, ma'am, do you believe a man can get pregnant? She goes, well, no, that's crazy. I said, ma'am, that's what we're up against. And she said, sweet Jesus, I'm going to vote.
That's all it took. Something that fast, right?
And I think, but Republicans aren't doing a good enough job making that argument. First of all, right? If I had to make that argument individually and they hadn't heard of it, what does that say about our broader message, right? But so that's why I say you can't tell me that Republicans are losing the battle of ideas. When a party is making the argument that men can get pregnant, they automatically have lost, right? And so what is it then? And I think it's really a question of turning out voters and getting them to vote early. If these are the rules, we need to figure out how to use the rules to turn out Republican voters. And is that having a drop box in every conservative church in Georgia? Okay, something like that. Okay, is that having a drop box at every gun outside every single gun range in Georgia?
Bass Pro Shops.
If that's,
Or
right?
Bass Pro Shops or some of these other hunting stores.
Yeah, we can't surrender to the Democrats on the rules game. We can't just go in our little corner, pout, and say, "Look, we don't like the rules, therefore we're not playing the game." Well, that's going to elect Democrats. If we just go in our corner and pout and say we're not going to play this game, that's going to elect Democrats. So we have to figure out how to use the rules as they're written right now to make sure that we turn out our voters. Understand, only 20 counties participated in Saturday voting.
Right.
We have 159 counties. So what you just did was you disenfranchised. You said the rights of the residents in 20 counties is greater than the residents in the other 39 counties.
And the other thing that comes about is election day, it rained. It was cold and raining. And the long lines. A lot of people, I believe, thought that they were going to vote early. And then they rode by and the lines were too long in various places. And then on election day, it was kind of a second thought. And they went to election day, and then once again, it was too cold, too rainy, and that really hits the elderly. So when we have that, we're kind of running out of time. So I want to wrap this up. But I think that it really hits the nail on the head when you identify the impact of not getting out the early vote if we're going to allow that. So Jonathan, thank you for coming on. I'd love to have you on another segment when we have more time. And I'm going to put up your social media page information at the bottom here. But once again, I appreciate you coming on and sharing what you know, because this is firsthand, grassroots, feet on the ground perspective. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much for having me. Have a good one.
You too.